the SM Media Podcast Network. Hi, folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the 80 right here on SM Media, where we look at all things west of Scotland. And it is that time of year again. It is our season prediction show, not the season prediction show you've maybe seen in the past couple of years. And I want to do something before we start the show. I want to say a thanks to the west of Scotland, which is probably something you'll not hear me say very often. This year means I don't get into bother for getting folk into bother for relegating teams. Like that's, I mean, I'm still living off of relegating a couple of teams that get promoted last year, but yeah, obviously, like for those who don't know, this season's going to be a bit more complicated because it's purely promotion we're going to be talking about. So this year is going to be a lot different than any other season, I think, in the west of Scotland. To join me to give their thoughts and to give their expertise are two of the best minds in the west of Scotland. They'll share their analysis, they'll give their thoughts. Both no longer managers, but they do have their opinions and do have their knowledge elsewhere. First of all, it's a pleasure to welcome the youngest manager, I think, in the west of Scotland ever. Am I right in saying? I think
Thanks
that
for
was
me.
an expert. I think that was an accolade that you had. Led Kilsyth Athletic to two promotions. It's a pleasure to welcome Bailey Hanlon.
Thank you for having me, mate. Thank you.
Pleasure, mate. Looking forward to having you on. And it's a favourite of the channel. You've seen him on various shows in the past. Always a manager of Rossvale and that. Now a bit of a different role for him. It's a pleasure to welcome Josh Gardner.
It's happening, mate. It's mad that I've got more promotion. I've got more appearances on podcasts than I do. Bailey has promotions in it.
Yeah, and there's maybe a reason for that. You're quite good at it. I'll be remiss to ask the both of you. Obviously, no longer at your respective clubs, but we'll get your kind of thoughts on that in a minute. Bailey, I think it's well documented the kind of incredible job you had in what you did with Kilsyth Athletic. How do you feel about what you did there, and what are you kind of looking to do now? Like, what's your? I'm not going to ask you your kind of reasons for leaving, but look, how proud are you of your job, and what are you kind of looking to do in the game now?
Um, First, in terms of Forsyth, pretty proud of what we managed to achieve there. Obviously, it was a new club coming into the setup when we kind of took over. No budget, no money behind it. Kind of no real structure in the background, and so two promotions in 3 years there was pretty good going. In terms of me going forward, I'm just kind of enjoying a bit of a rest now. I've been out to watch some games, starting to get a wee bit itchy. I'm probably missing it already. I think it's only been 3 or 4 weeks pre-season and stuff, but I've got nothing lined up now. I'm just, as I said, enjoying the time off. If something comes up, I'll see what happens. I've put a wee bit more time into my business, my football and stuff and whatever. So if something comes up, then if it interests me, I'd maybe take a wee look, and whether that's coaching or managing somewhere, I'm not too bothered. But as I said, just enjoying the time.
And some of the players that you had at Kilsyth are going on. Like we'll kind of mention them maybe during the show. Like a lot of the players that have been at Kilsyth Athletic are either still there or going on about things. Like how good is it to see like some players that you've kind of nurtured and been with for the start, as you say, bringing through at Kilsyth Athletic, coming into the West? How good is that for yourself to see them going on? And like again, you are at Kilsyth as well. You must be kind of keeping an eye and seeing what they're doing and hoping they can kind of build on what you've already accomplished.
Yeah, 100%. I got yesterday. I got to see, I think, 6 of our boys play. Couple were at Vera Clyde, couple were at Ashfield. So I went to that game yesterday. I was saying to Josh just before we started recording, I was watching one of our boys play for Pollock during the week. And then a couple of games before that, I was down at Darvel watching Matthew and Luke, who've signed down there. So there's obviously some great moves that the boys have got, and it's good to see that they've kind of kicked on from down in Div 4, 3, and then obviously getting promoted into Division 2. We always felt that the boys were good enough that they could go and make that step whenever that opportunity came for them. A couple of them have went to Gap here and actually as well, which is really good. So no, it fills you with pride to see that boys are doing well for themselves and getting good moves up the pyramid.
Absolutely, and obviously the same with yourself, Josh, as well. The kind of job you've done at Rossvale over the past 2 seasons, like was it a difficult decision to move on? Like was a particular kind of accomplishment you're proud of your time there, and how do you kind of look back and what you've done?
I think for where probably something that Bale picked up at Kilsyth, to be honest with you, where Rossvale, I think, are a big club in terms of like the boys' club structure and all that stuff's really, really impressive. But where they've probably failed recently is probably the under-20s and the first team level. I felt for where I picked up, I'm quite proud of where we got it to. I felt we made it a proposition. I felt we had a bit of structure behind it, which Bailey will tell you is no an easy feat. It's really, really tough, and you need more than just yourself to do it as well. You need guys who aren't even on the coaching staff to help with that structure. And we had good guys like Derek and Scott that came in and helped the first team massively. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't a difficult decision in the end. It was difficult in terms of, and Bailey, you'll understand what I mean by this, is you're leaving the group. It's the group of boys you're leaving that you're so used to seeing every single week. And it goes beyond the football. It's more them that you miss. It's not so much the decision to leave the club. But for me, I knew it was the right decision to do it. I just didn't. I didn't particularly. It wasn't the one I wanted, but I knew it was the right thing to do. Like for me, I won't go too much into it, but I just felt we were no longer trying to get better. That's particularly where I seen it. I just felt we were almost regressing a wee bit, where I felt everybody else running about us. And Bailey, you'll probably see it for your time in the fourth division. It's a totally different league now to the one you came out. It's totally different. And there's been many managers now that have said, I'm glad I'm not in that fourth division now with the teams that have then come into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt we were kind of starting to backpedal a wee bit. And for me, like, see if you're not trying to get better every season, I don't really see the point in doing it, to be honest with you. I think you need to be trying to get better. And I just didn't feel like we were pushing in that direction anymore. So I just decided, like, listen, my time's up. I think I've done what I can here. And if we're not looking to progress, then it's time for me to step away and let somebody else. And now Barry's went in there, and time will tell how that plans out for them. But for me, I didn't feel as if I could add any more value to it or take it any further under the way it was about to be run, basically.
And obviously, you're now with Maxi at Pollock, and how did that come about? And is that giving you a kind of new kind of lease on what kind of you're looking to do as a coach? Kind of like seeing the way, obviously at a higher level, how it kind of operates, and like obviously you'd come for the kind of south, and you'd done a lot before that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it giving you a kind of new impetus looking at kind of Pollock, and obviously we'll talk about them later on.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you kind of at now as a coach, and how what are you kind of learned in the kind of first few weeks been in with Stuart at Pollock?
See, we Stuart, like, I've always kind of spoke to him anyway. Like, we've always been pally. Like, he's always helped me ever since I came into the West, to be honest with you, and even before that. So he's always been good for me before I even got there. And there was a discussion around about Christmas time, I want to say, maybe just before Christmas, about possibly going to Pollock. But I wanted to see the season out. I wanted to finish the season, and that wasn't to say it was in the pipeline, because we actually never, strangely too, he's never ever spoke about it for then to the end of the season. And obviously there's a lot going on at Pollock, but for me, like, kind of similar to Bailey, we're both young coaches, but I've never done this role, which is quite strange as well. Like, I was a manager obviously at development level, but in amongst that I was obviously like first team coach at the Rovers under Brian Kerr, and then you had your John Brogans and stuff like that, and then I went to Clyde and I done that same role for Danny. But it was almost like I was still a manager because I was managing the development team, so like you weren't like solely doing that role. And when I went in and I spoke to Max about the role at Pollock and how he wanted to work it and what the guys were like, what the club were like, and then I went in and met them. I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you, and it's kind of been beneficial for me. Like, I've kind of sat back and I've watched guys like Maxie and Chris and see how they do certain things, and Jamie Hughes is there as well, and even learning off guys like the goalie coach, just how they do things. And it's maybe Bailey will probably understand this a wee bit as well. Like, I can't swear. Can I swear?
Not really, no. So go for
No,
it.
well,
If you feel if you can add another word that will maybe cover it.
I don't need to deal with any of the manager crap, basically. Yeah. I don't need to deal with that, which Bailey will know exactly what that means. You just don't need to deal with any of that. So I can just solely focus on coaching and try to develop players as best as I can. And that's where I'm at my happiest. Like, I'm a very coachy manager anyway. Like, I like a lot of time on the grass. I like taking sessions. That's what I like doing. So it kind of gives me that license to do that. And Maxie's kind of gives me free reins to do that as well. So it works for me. So I'm really enjoying it the last couple of weeks, and we've got a really good group of boys here as well, which I'm enjoying working with. And it's obviously young, as people have said, but no, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm enjoying where I'm at. But I do wish Rossvale all the best because they were the first club to give me an opportunity as well.
Right, we're going to get into our predictions for the season ahead now. For those that have maybe seen the show in the past, what we tended to do was if there were 4 promotion places or 3, whatever it was, we would do 3. We would pick a 3 to go up and 3 to go down. We're not going to do a top 8 this season. Before we get into that, does anybody want to try and attempt to explain what's happening this season?
Is it confirmed? Aye. Is it definitely
As
going
far
ahead?
as I know, that seems to be the plan.
Tell you next May if it's confirmed. They might come out
Yeah.
last week in May and tell you 3 people are going down.
I mean, we're going on this just now that this is the plan. So, like, I've got it here in front of me, so bear with me. And before we get into that, I want to thank my sponsors, Greenversity Renewables and Indigo Communications, for the support for the season ahead. Right, I'm going to try my best to explain this. If you do want to go and make a cup of tea or just, like, mute it for 5 minutes, you can do so. Right, as far as we know at this moment, each West of Scotland division will complete a normal season. So they'll play 30 games with champions crowned upon completion. So whoever finishes first will win the league. Okay, we know that. Okay, that's not something that Reconstruction is going to change. As explained previously, there'll be a Lowland League West and a Lowland League East. The Lowland League East, I think there's something like 11 teams already in the Lowland League that would compete in this East League. I think there's only 5. So they would be like Clydebank, Albion Rovers, Celtic B, Cumbernauld Colts. I can't remember the other one. But
Stirling,
Caledonian Braves, I think it is. Gretna, I think, we've been there as well. So 6. So there's 10 spaces available. Now, at the moment, there would be 8 teams coming up from the West Premier Division and 2 teams from the South. That could change, obviously, depending on, let's say, for example, Clydebank go on and win the Lowland League and Forfar get relegated from the SPFL. That would mean another 9 places. There could potentially be 10 places if 2 South of Scotland teams don't get in. Okay, so we know there's a minimum of 8 going up. Okay, that means there's 8 places spare in the Premier Division and so forth. So 8 teams would go up from every division below until we get 16 team leagues again. How that's going to work next season, I don't think anybody knows, so I'm not even going to attempt to guess it. Have I explained that well? Does that make sense? Because I'm losing the plot, just trying to think in my head. It's 8 teams are going up, we think, at the moment, okay? So we're going off this at the moment that there's going to be 8 teams going up from each division this season. We're not going to ask the guys to predict 8 teams going up because I'm not going to hold them to that. What we're going to do is we're going to pick a top 3 each who we think are definitely going to be in the promotion contention. We'll ask the guys why. I'll include myself in this as well. And we're going to pick maybe 1 or 2 teams in each division who we think could maybe improve in last season, who could potentially challenge for a top 8 finish, okay? So we're going to obviously start from the Premier Division and work our way down. Before we get into that, obviously, with the way it's going at the moment, Josh, I'm going to come to you with this because as we've seen, there's a lot of sides in the West of Scotland Premier Division at the moment who don't have an SFA licence, but we know there's a few that are trying to. What do you know about teams maybe applying for that? Do you know anything maybe you can share about certain teams that maybe could be that are in a position just now?
I think, listen, I'll be honest, I've totally lost track of all the rumours that I've heard about licensing, signings and all that. I get to the point, I don't know if yours are the same, but I get to the point where if I can no longer follow it and I'm getting confused with myself, I just stop taking interest in it and I'll just see what happens. But I think it looks like there might be 10 or 12 possibly licensed. That's what I'm thinking because I don't think Drumchapel are far away. I think Drumchapel are like 1 showerhead away, to be honest with you. I think it's something mad. Like, I think they need a 5th showerhead. Johnston Borough, fairly confident they will have theirs as well in place. The only one I was a wee bit unsure of was Renfrew, but I don't know if Renfrew want it or they're getting it. I don't know because everything I see with Renfrew's set up, they could get it. So I don't really know what's going there, but I do know I did hear that the actual licence how much its costing's gone up as well, but I think it's up to $7,500 now or something, or it's whereas before I think it was much cheaper. So I think that's an issue for clubs as well as the financial upkeep of what it's going to cost as well. I think Troon are set up to get theirs as well, but again, don't know how
I think
that is.
well, I'm just the teams that have it just now are Auchinleck, Cumnock. Let me just see. Auchinleck, Cumnock, Glenafton have got theirs. Pollock have got theirs, and coming up, Colwynnon have got theirs. Auchinleck, Rutherglen have got theirs. I'm pretty sure as well. So that's 6. I'm pretty sure who have definitely got theirs. The ones that I'm not sure are a wee bit away, I think, are Bede. I think there's an issue with their stadium that's been well documented in the past.
Colwynnon have got it as well, haven't they?
Colwynnon have got it. I think there's an issue with Atherley as well. I think the Garden Stadium.
Well, they're now moving, aren't they? So
you
might find out that Atherley maybe go for theirs in like once they've moved type thing.
Largs, I think, can get theirs. I think Largs can get theirs. I'm pretty sure.
Largs as well. Largs.
Bailey, feel free to jump in if any teams you know have got theirs. But that is what we're dealing with just now. Is it's not a case of the top 8 are going to go up. There's going to be all this rigmarole of, can they go up and get the license kind of thing. That's kind of the issue here. I
think they've also got until March? Is it March next year to get it? So who knows? Like, I think you can kind of tell with who's maybe close to it by the signings. Maybe some of them are making as well, because a few teams are pushing the boat out a wee bit. But everybody pushing the boat out except Pollock. We've got a rubber dinghy. We're pushing it, but it's going to be interesting, to be honest with you. But it's who knows? Just need to wait and see, Scott. To be honest with you, I'm totally confused with the Phil Hing now, to be honest.
Yeah, and we're going to do our best, obviously, to just treat this as a normal season. We're not going to go like such and such. We would have them in the top 3, but we can't because they've not got SFA. We're going to just treat this as it should be, which is a league, and who's going to do well and who's not going to do well. Bailey, do you think this season's a bit of a nonsense, or is it just? And I'm not saying it's a nonsense, but to me, there's so much going on, and you say that trying to explain it to the viewers, and I know there'll be a lot of questions after it. And again, that's kind of one of the things with this, is that a lot of people will let us know what's happening. Like, that's one of the good things, is if we say something wrong on here, within seconds we'll know we're wrong. So that's maybe a good thing of saying stuff. Where are we at with this season, Bailey? Are you looking forward to it, or do you think it is a bit too confusing to follow?
I think from maybe a player and a manager's perspective, it's probably business as usual. I think anytime you would go out in the pitch, you're going out there to try and win the game and to try and get your team as high up the league as you can. And if you're a manager, again, you're setting your team up to go and win as many games as you can, regardless of, if you make the top 8 or you're 9th place or you've got a licence or you don't. I think probably the politics in that are probably more at committee and chairman kind of level, in terms of, as Josh said, it's maybe some teams are maybe not investing to the full potential, depending if they may be confident they might get it, or they might just miss out on a licence that might. I know Drumchapel, as Josh said, I think they're a shiverhead and a supporter barrier away from it. So I can see them investing as normal, because they'll be pretty confident that they're going to get it, and then, they should be in that top 8 anyway. I would say it would be business as usual, I would imagine, for the sporting staff. I think if you're in the background at a club or you're upstairs at a club, I think it would maybe have a bit more of an effect that way.
Right, let's give it a go here. We're going to try the best we can to make some people happy. I imagine some people will get sad about what we're going to do here, but we're going to try our best. We're going to do a top 3 for each division. So we think 3 teams that are absolutely going to get promotion, and maybe 1 or 2 that you think could do well. Josh, I'm going to come to you first for the Premier Division. We'll touch on Pollock in a minute, because I want to kind of get your thoughts on where they're at, and maybe a couple other teams in that kind of area at the moment. Who's your top 3, and give us a wee bit of an explanation why you think they could do well.
I'll take Pollock at it, right? I'll kid on, I'm no party pot, I'm just picking it right. But I'll say, I reckon Talbot will be one of them, because I think Talbot finished strongly last season. I think they had a steady campaign, seem to have kept most of their players. And it's the Talbot, you can't rule them out, they're always there or thereabouts. The Borough, obvious reasons. Obviously, again, did have a steady league campaign as well, albeit fell short to a really good Clydebank team. Obviously winning the Scottish Cup, but that'll be their main aim, is to win the league, I would imagine. And Troon, to be honest with you, I think Troon will do quite well. I think they've signed well. Again, had a steady season the season before, and I think they've got a wee bit better. And if they're looking to push on to get the licence, it might be that wee bit of motivation that they need. And my team to watch would possibly take away Pollux. I think will be a surprise package. I think Kilwinning will be pretty decent, to be honest with you, coming into the league so late on. I really rate Kev as well. Kevin Saunders and John do a really good job down there, so I fancy them to do well. But again, Kev will hate that, because I think I tipped him for the league last year and then it fell apart, but he'll not like that.
Okay. On Pollock, obviously, I think it's well documented, and you can read it in my marvellous season preview that'll be going out later on this week, that there's obviously been restraints with budget. I think that's well documented. I don't think you need to be an inside source to know what's going on. The kind of players that have been kind of coming in, I'm really interested. Obviously, Mark Russell, I'd imagine you've maybe not done it a move in that, but I'd imagine you'll have known his ability as a player.
Aye.
Players like kind of Cole Gibson for West Park, the boy Watt for Finnart, maybe just a couple more that I'm thinking. I think Lee Rolson's in there as well for Atherley.
No, he never came to us. That's one we missed out on. He went to Cumnock.
Who did go to Atherley?
Jordan Layden.
Jordan Layden, that's who it is. Yeah, like there seems to be obviously Maxie and you guys are kind of looking down the leagues a wee bit. Is that maybe looking at potential? Was that maybe a long-term plan for certain players?
I think. Listen, I think obviously without giving too much away, there has been a load of budget cuts at Pollock, and as you say, it's been pretty known as well. I think there seems to be this sort of idea that because there's no relegation, people think that we're not spending big. That's not the case. See, whether there was relegation or no, this is where we would be short them. I think we just need to understand that we are short them in a slightly different market, a different shop to where they were before.
Yeah.
I've said before, I don't think that's anything to be negative about. I don't think it's anything to be down about. I actually think it's pretty exciting. And probably my excitement comes from because of what I see. I see the sort of hunger and desire in the boys. And Bailey would have seen that when he came and watched us. Like, there's so much effort that goes into the boys. They're brilliant in what they do. They have so much effort, desire and heart about them. And I do think, and I love it. I don't know about you, but because I've came from that development background, I love giving some of these players the stage to go and perform and do well. As Bailey said, like, there's so many of his players in that Kilsyth team alone who are more than capable of moving up, but they just need the chance. But they may not have got the chance if it wasn't for the constraints that Pollock are under. So who knows if John Millerick would have got signed if that's the case, but he did. So now he's got the opportunity. And who's to say that it doesn't work out, and then that might be the recruitment strategy for Pollock going forward. It might then, who knows, that then other clubs might do it. But there's loads of these players that you think, even the current Premier League players that we recognise them as current Premier League players in that league, so many of them have came for the lower leagues as well. So it's not to say that it's not going to work. Maybe just signing this many in the one window is a bit hard. But that shows where we're at. They are more development signings. We are having to be a wee bit more creative with the recruitment. And I think so far we've done pretty well, but we've got good experience running about that. We've got Jordan Layden, we've got Bob McHugh, we've got Jamie Bain to come back, we've got Ryan McCreef, who was at Largs. So as much as we've got a young squad, we've got good experience in around the guys as well. So I'm hoping it could be a really good mix, because we've got good experienced players. And there is a difference, by the way. You can have experienced players and they can be bad experienced. They might not be good for your changing room. But the guys that we've got in there that are the experienced heads, they're good enough, and they're good lads as well, and they'll be exactly what this young group of players need. But we've also plucked a few at the first division, like your Jordan Scotts, your Jake Stirlings, these type of players as well. So it's looking pretty good. And I'm looking forward to keep working with them, because I do think they'll do pretty well. They're just going to need time. We're going to need a wee bit of patience for the fans and everybody involved. It's not going to, Rome's not built in a day, but these players will come good eventually.
Bailey, who is your three that you can see being in the top 8 and why? And you're wanting to follow after that, please.
My 1 to 3, I've got Johnson Borough winning the league.
Okay.
I think just the level of investment. I was listening to the co-owner speaking the other day. I think he was actually talking about further investment coming in as well. I think they've signed really well. I think getting McShane in the middle of the pitch is, I think he's one of the best midfielders at this level. So I think they'll do really well. Like Josh, I've got Troon in there as well. I was down watching them a couple of weeks ago. Speaking to some of the staff around about the place, they were talking about the investment and their ambitions. I think they've signed big Callum Gow from Pollock, good big centre half. So I think they'll do well. And I've got Drumchapel making that top 3 as well. I can't believe I've not got the Talbot in there, but Drumchapel have just sneaked it in my trusty notebook.
What about your team to follow? What's the team you can see maybe not like getting promotion, but can see like maybe kind of being one to watch?
You'll say Pollock because John Millerick's there.
John texts me saying you better say us. No, for me, my team to watch will be Cumnock this year.
Okay.
I think Cumnock have signed really well. I think obviously Adam Ford coming in at the top end of the pitch for them is a good signing. And I seen they've got a boy Alex McCaw as well, who was at Albion Rovers last year, who I really like watching. So can see them doing well. Obviously Stephen Swift, great manager. When I worked on the community side at Stenhousemuir, he was the first team manager there. So he's a good guy, and I think they're probably my pick for maybe not making that top 3, but I can see them being in the top 8 anyway.
Okay. I think I don't see a world where Auchinleck don't finish in the top 8. Like even when they were rebuilding a couple of years ago, I think they still finished like 3rd. So they're an absolute stick on top 8 for me. Are they title contenders? I didn't think they were last season, but they obviously finished 2nd, so you would kind of assume they're probably going to be the kind of one there. I do think they've kept the core of a squad together, and I think that's important. Tucker's done it so many times. I think Auchinleck are stick on for promotion. Johnson Borough, Ian McShane coming in. I think actually one of the best bits of business over the summer's been Stuart Falls getting in there. I think that's an amazing bit of business going in there as well. Matty Grant as well will go there, and we know the crop they've got already. I think Johnson Borough will be in there. And I've got Drumchapel definitely there as well. I think Carlo Monti and Paul Fry's the kind of business that they've done as well, and hope he's done so good at that level for them as well. I think they're probably my 3 to follow. I've went with Largs as my team to watch because I do think, similar to Auchinleck, I don't see them not being in the top 8. And I think Arnie's just so good at just getting that level of balance. Like, mid-table this season gets you up, and they've not been on my radar as like a top 6 team for the past couple of years, and Arnie's managed to do it. I think Largs are my team to follow. I can see them being really good. Any kind of other teams that we maybe haven't mentioned? Like, I'm just looking here, Beath, Atherley, Hurlford, any other kind of teams that MD's jumping out, maybe what I ever mentioned to do well?
I think Atherley might be all right.
Okay.
Obviously a really fun season last year.
Okay.
They would be one for me.
Okay. A couple of words. I think Troon will have a really good season as well. I think they did really well. I'm going to mention Renfrew because I put them to go down last year. But I think like losing a couple of players like
Jojo, some shout that, Scott.
It was bad, wasn't it? But losing like Jojo Gillespie this season, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to cover that. Rutherglen, I think, have lost a few players as well. But I think, again, it's a weird season because you don't know who's going to go up and down. But I think the 3 I've got here, and maybe I think most of the sides we've got, I'd imagine will be competing for promotion into that first division. That unbelievably tough league to predict, and it's no different this year. Josh, I'm going to come to you for that. Just your kind of top 3. Who do you see out of that league?
No in any particular order, but I think Gartcairn would be disappointed if they weren't in the top 3.
Okay.
I think Darvel as well,
okay.
And the Meda.
Okay.
And my one to watch would be Forneywood, to be honest with you. I think they finished really strongly. Actually seen them a couple of times as well. And they look pretty decent, to be honest with you, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them creep into maybe even fighting for the 3rd spot as well, to be honest with you. So I quite like the look of them. And is it Adam Coates that's been in there? He's done pretty well since he got the job as well. So they would be my ones to watch it for in that league.
Okay, so Gartcairn, Darvel and Irvine Meadow. For Josh Bailey, where are you at with the first division? Your top 3 and 1 to follow, please.
My top 3 is the exact same as Josh. I've got Darvel, Irvine Meadow and Gartcairn as well. I think, as I said earlier, I've watched Darvel a few times. this year already with a couple of our boys going in there. I think Jamie's turned Evermeadow around since he went in late last year. Talking to him not too long ago, he's obviously freeing up a wee bit of money and moving some players on. I think he'll reinvest that pretty well. And then Gartcairn, I don't see a world where they're not in the top three with the quality of player that they've got. And then I want to watch is Villa Clyde this year. I've seen them yesterday. Two of our boys went there. That's not why I've picked them. I was pleasantly surprised with what I've seen. I think you always hear things about going to Fulton Park and it's a tough area and tough ground to go to, but they've tried to play. One of our staff members from last year's actually in there as well, and there's a kind of stylistic change for them a wee bit. So I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing them a few times this year and see how they go on.
Okay, it'll be no surprise that I've got the exact same three, but Gartcairn I think are stick-ons. I'll mention a couple more obviously, but I think Gartcairn, Darvel and Irvine Meadow for the right reasons that have been mentioned. I think Darvel just coming down, I think I'll mention this a lot tonight and Josh will know what I'm talking about because I'll mention it all the time. Sometimes coming down is the best thing for you because it just gives you that wee kind of lease of life and a bit of freshness. Just different opponents.
And they picked up a wee bit, Scott, towards the end as well. And I think what's frustrating for Mick is they done really well in cups, if you remember right. Remember when they did pick it up? It was the league ones, wasn't it?
I think they got to the quarters of the. I think did they not beat? I think they beat Johnson Borough in a cup. Did they not? Something like that.
They done well, but and I remember it being quite a lot of cup competitions though, and so I think there was signs there that Mick was starting to get it right. So I think they'll just kick on. To be honest with you, for that.
Bailey, I was going to ask you about Gartcairn. Obviously, a couple obviously Ryan McStay, Darren Bargan, and they're very good experience, obviously at a higher level. But they've obviously brought in somebody you know pretty well, Paul Archibald. How good an addition is that for them?
I think it's a brilliant signing. Obviously, I know Paul really well. I haven't worked with him for the past 3 or 4 years, whatever it's been. And his phone was red hot for February onwards or something like that. I think pretty much.
I was on it.
You're on a long list, Josh, honestly.
No, mate, he's a good boy, Paul, but he's a cracking boy, to be fair.
Lovely boy. He was coming in every night at training and he's like, can I get 2 minutes of your time? And they've contacted me now and they've phoned me and so he done really well to stay focused for us for the end of the season and obviously got us over the line, and I think he finished in 31 or 32 goals last year. So it was absolutely incredible for us and what we managed to do. So speaking to him throughout the summer and where he was going, I know he spoke to a few clubs and settled on Gartcairn. So I think he'll be a really good addition for them. I know they've obviously got plenty of firepower anyway. So it might be difficult for Paul initially to go and establish himself straight away as the number 9. But I think he's got qualities that they can go and do the job for them 100%.
See as well.
I actually watched him against Broxburn, by the way. He scored a belter of a chip.
In
the Broxburn game.
That's his trademark goal.
That's his trademark, isn't it? He done it a few times at the Rovers when I was there, I know, to be fair. Good boy. It'd be good to see him do well, actually.
Yeah. See, obviously for yourself, Bailey, like when a player like Paul Archibald and Josh will maybe have experienced this as well previously with kind of players who you kind of know they're going to go and get a move to a bigger level and you're kind of chasing that promotion. What does that kind of feel like? Like you're mentioning there about the player doing well to stay focused. Is that like a worry for you, a player like that? Like they're going to lose focus and it's going to impact the side?
I think it's a lot to do with the type of person they are. It's obviously a lot to do with the environment that you create at your club and how much they enjoy it. Because similar to Josh, both of us have been at clubs that you can't go and compete with the wages and the expenses that other people can offer. So your players are going to get offers throughout the year and their heads are going to get turned. And as I said, it's a lot to do with the type of person they are. For Paul, he's a really mature, really switched on guy. He's been at a higher level. He was at Rovers for a wee bit in League Two, and I had a bit of a rough time, and he took a couple of years out of football, and he came back to us at under 21s, I think maybe, and he just wanted to enjoy football again for a couple of seasons, and he managed to do that, and he's then built himself back up to a place where he had that confidence to go and take that step again. But he wasn't always like that. As I said, he had loads of offers. He had offers last year, and he was a wee bit unsure. It's like you don't want to go into a bad changing room because it can dent your confidence. It can put you off track again. So he was really particular in what he was looking for, and it's great to see him, as I said, make that jump eventually. But for me, the main thing with his focus was a lot to do with the type of person that he was.
Mm-hmm.
We had the same thing, Scott, with Kev Doherty as well.
Yeah.
Kev had loads of offers for the Premier League and stuff like that all throughout the season, and it was just, I think it's more about probably, and Billy's probably been a bit modest, but a lot is to do with, did you try and get him or not? As we just steal each other's players, don't we? But I think I think a lot of it depends on the relationship you've got with them, and it needs to be open and honest as well. Like Bailey probably was similar with me. Like I think I've said it in a podcast before. I basically sat Kev down and says, "There's no point in me getting money for you because it'll go to a bag of balls or something. I'm not interested in a bag of balls. I need you putting the ball in the net type thing." Like, but what I basically says to Kev is, stay at the end of the season. We'll tidy up your game. We'll try and do the best we can, and I'll help you move on if you need the help. Kev didn't need the help. The only sort of saving grace was I was going to Pollock. And I knew Kev was going to end up in the Premier League anyway, so it was just dead simple to bring him with me.
Mm-hmm.
But, and obviously Maxie was quite open to giving him the opportunity as well. But it's similar with Pollock. And by the way, any Kilsyth player that I spoke to was all like, oh, honestly, God, it was like, wait till Bailey get him. Glad to see what Bailey's doing. I mean, I was about to kill him off myself at one point just to try and get a few of the line.
And just an arc in that, like obviously, Gartcairn and Darvel, I think, will do well. Irvine Meadow, I think Jamie's given in there. I think he'd really get a click as soon as he went in, and I think now he's in a pre-season, he's been able to get some players in. We mentioned Jojo for Renfrew's went in there, Matt Carter for Ardrossan, I think Lyle Holden. I think they've signed a couple for Glenafton actually, but I think Jamie's just going to get in there and really get them going. A couple of teams that I can see doing quite well as well are, I think, St Roch's. I think like a lot of people are saying they're maybe going to drop it. Like they've lost a few key players, but they brought in like Don McLaren coming in from Chapel, the boy McElveen for Rutherglen. I think they've recruited quite well, and I think Ian's done a really good job in there. And I think Rob Roy, like obviously, like they've signed a lot of experience. They've signed Ross Caldwell for Gartcairn and Scott Jarvie for Rutherglen. Wouldn't be surprised if Rob Roy kick on as well. They had a tough season last season, but I think bringing in a couple of experienced boys and really knowing now what the kind of job is, I think they could be up there. My team to watch, because I shout them out all the time, I think Muirkirk could have a good season again. I'm not saying promotion, but I don't think they're going to be cannon fodder. I think they're a really, really young side, and I think they've got one of the best managers in the whole region. I really do believe that. I think he's a very good manager.
I would agree with that. I know that. I'll be honest, they were between them and Forneywood was my sort of ones to watch as well, to be honest. So I'm not far away from your thinking there, but it might be a case of, who knows? I'm not even going to try and predict what Muirkirk do because you would never be able to predict the season before. So just let them crack on. I'll speak about them round about Christmas when they're doing brilliant.
That's the thing with this league as well, and we've said it for years. Like, you don't know how it's going to go until April.
The Rock are looking steady, but we played them the Saturday at their own tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good game. It was a competitive game. We won 1-0, but it was a steady game, so it was, and they were a decent outfit. They were nice and organised, so they'll be up there as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I think all the promoted teams actually, and I include Lanark in that as well, like Lanark, Neilston, Whitlets and Muirkirk, I think they could all go and give a really good account of themselves. I can see Kilbirnie kicking on. Like, I think they've had a tough time, but again, you can mention every team in that league. Like, I'm not going to go for everybody. I think there's a couple of teams where maybe wait 2 or 3 games just to see what they're at and where their side's at, to be honest, then make a call. But I think at the moment, if you're to say who's definitely going up, I can't see past Gartcairn, Darvel and Irvine Meadow. Let's go into the second division. We'll start by talking to Bailey first about Kilsyth Athletic, obviously going into the second division. Completely new management team as well. Obviously, Rab Campbell and Scott Murdoch have taken over Aaron Connolly as head coach, I think, as well. Completely new kind of management team. What do you kind of think? Do you see them doing well? Are they in your... I'm not going to ask you to put them in your top three. I'm going to ask you for different teams. What should people know about Kilsyth Athletic this season? How do you think they'll get on?
I'm going to sound like the bad guy here. I don't see them doing too well, to be honest.
Okay.
And that's not me being bitter. There's
He's
no.
going to be front page of the paper tomorrow.
I'm going to come out and use them tomorrow. No, for me, so listen, I wish them all the best, and I know I was talking to Scott at the Pollock game the other day, I got on well with both Scott and Rab, and still all the guys there are in as well, the committee. I just think when there's such a big turnover of players, I know Josh was talking about a turnover of players earlier at Pollock and new signings, but at Kilsyth it's totally different. It is literally not one single player has stayed. So it's there was meant to be one, and I think young Lennon's actually going over to Kirky Rob now. I think he's maybe playing over there. So it's a whole new group. I think maybe some of them have played together under 20s previously. I think maybe Scott and Rab have got a knowledge of some of the group from their under 20s coaching days. But I think it will take them what I would say is it's probably similar when we first went into Division 3. It took us a year to kind of settle in and understand the level, and then we were able to kick on in that second year. So I don't see them making that top 8 straight away. I think it might be a year for them just to settle in, and they'll maybe try and get another 1 or 2 signings in throughout the year. And then it might be something for next year that they look to try and kick on after that.
So who is your top 3 and who's your team to follow?
My top 3, I actually fancy Thorn and Thrieve to go again. You know, okay. That having played them the last few years, I think they're both really, really good sides. Really well coached, well organised, well structured, good players as well. So Thorn and Thrieve are in mine, and I've got Les Mahago in there as well. Obviously Darryl has moved over there from Lanark.
Were you surprised at that, or is it just me?
A wee bit. Obviously Lanark gone up in the 4th place, I think, late on, but I think he'd moved before that. I think he was at Les Mahago Amateurs previously, and I might be wrong.
He's getting a wee bit extra batting there as well, so it made sense for him to go there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the boys have maybe went there as well from his Lanark side. So I can see them doing really well. It's a tough place to go. We went there end of the season in Div 3, and it was the worst rain I've ever seen. The pitch was torture to play on. We get beat. I think we get beat 2-0 or something like that. It was a tough place to go and play. So I can see them doing well.
Okay, Josh. Sorry, your team to follow. Really.
My team to follow. This is probably cheating because they're in my top 3. If they weren't so far away, I'd have a 3 season ticket. I think they're brilliant. Anytime I go and watch them, I've got a horrendous record coaching against them. I think I've beat them once in the first game we ever played them, and then the 5 or 6 games since then they've turned us over.
I actually think I was at that game. Was that down there?
Down there, mate. Aye.
I think that did a McBookie line for me last season. Because remember, I was doing the McBookie thing. I think that.
I was at St Cuthbert's at the time, and I watched it coming back for training. Me, Johnny McCabe, and all that point.
Aye, that's right. We beat them 3-1 down there. I think our first ever game. We hit them in the counter quite a lot that day. They did.
Some setup in it.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, the pitch was immaculate. We've always been quite fortunate in terms of the time that we play them at. I know sometimes they go and play over at Palmerston if their pitches or whatever, but we've always got them early on in the season, so the pitch is always looking great. The surface is brilliant, good setup. They've got the wee social club and whatever, and I think they always do really well.
So Thrieve, your team. Give us another team then. Give us another team if you can. Just so a bit different.
I'll go. Do you know what? I'll go Larkhall.
Larkhall.
Right, go Larkhall. Okay. Difficult place as well.
Okay, Josh, your top 3 and your team to follow, please.
So top 3, I'll go in the order: the Fawn, Blantyre, and the Gow. And I actually think I do think Thrieve will be up there as well, to be fair. So I was quite struggling with that, but I want it to be different there, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say the one to watch is a wee bit left field is Ashfield. I think beat us signed pretty well. I think a couple of your boys were in there as well, but
a couple of them in there. My wee brother's actually in there, so he'll be raging that I've not mentioned them.
Brilliant.
We drove watching them yesterday, so do you know what? It's actually a good shout. They play some nice stuff. I watched them last Saturday in I think it was the Maryhill tournament. They played St Mirren. They won 2-0. I think 4 of your boys have went there, so again, I think they could be decent.
He signed well, Peter, to be fair, so I reckon they'll be one to watch as well. Obviously coming down. They're a club that's going to be going a few places as well, because they've got a stadium probably on the horizon coming as well. So a young manager who they've given the opportunity coming out for the 20s in Peter, so which I think he'll do really, really well. So I'll go for them.
Okay. I'll go Blantyre as well. I think they've obviously loosened the purse strings, I think, to a degree, like Kieran Doggan and John Cunningham. I think they've just had a really tough period. I think going down, I've been really impressed with their business. I think they'll be in the top three. I think as well, and I'm keen to get your thought, Maryhill, I think could do quite well. Really well coached. I think they've done a bit of good business as well, like bringing in like Andrew Skinner, Rowan Mina as well for Kilsyth Rangers. I think it's a good addition. And I'm between Thorn and Three for third. Like, I think that's a really tough one. I think Thorn could just kick on again. I think they had a marvellous season last year. And Three have just done really well. They've signed a few players for the South, who I'm quite intrigued by how they adapt to the West. Team to follow, I've got about 4 or 5. I'm just going to run. The one I've went for is Bonneton because I think they've signed a lot of good players for the Air Seramis.
They have. Plus, they've got Mark Walker up top as well.
Mark Walker,
right,
Chris Chisholm as well. He was at Eglinton last year, but he's done really well in the past for Shortleys. And Popey's a really good manager, still playing as well, Popey. Bellshill, I wouldn't put MD past them having a good season. I think they're beginning to kind of kick on what they've kind of done. I think Les Mahaig were quite fascinating. Obviously, Darrell getting in there. I'm not necessarily sure about kind of like Larkhall. Ashfield are a team I mentioned as well. And I think Maybole could be a team who could just really just benefit just a season down and bit of structure about them. But if you'll say top 3, Blantyre and Maryhill and Thorn, I think I'm my top 3. I think I'm kind of stuck on them. But give a shout out to a lot of other teams as well. I think that's going to be just as tough a league. Into the third division, we'll go to you first, Josh. Who's your 3 teams in the third division and one to follow, please?
I'm actually going to go Knightswood and the Port and Glenvale. And the only reason I say Glenvale is I felt they got better in the third as it went on.
Yeah,
I felt they were getting a bit better. I think, as Bailey was saying there, sometimes when you've had a season at the level and you've learned it a wee bit, you learn a wee bit more about, because probably the style of football that Lewis was playing in the 4th division that won it to what he's going to need to do in the 3rd, I think he knows is different. Because I do think stylistically he's changed how he was playing the team. And I think he finished the season a bit stronger, and I think he's had a decent pre-season as well. So I think they'll be there as a surprise package as well. And the team to watch for me, I've went with Glasgow United, but purely based on I think they should be doing better anyway for who they've got. But they never done particularly well last season.
David Temple's still there. I know Goodwilly's still there.
He scored at the weekend, and Goody scored as well. So you would expect them to have a better season. So that's why they would be my team to watch.
Okay, so we've got Knightswood, Port Glasgow and Glenvale for Josh as his top 3 and team to watch Glasgow United. Bailey, what about yourself? Your top 3?
When you look back on this, by the way, this is, if you do a review of this, it'll then confirm that I've not got a clue what I'm talking about.
I think we're more likely to get promotion places. Like, I think there's a lot of. I think if we were top 3, I think some would look daft, but I don't think, like, if a team finished 10th, at least we were close. Do you know what I mean? So we'll
I'll take that, mate. If that's the way we're doing it, I'll take it.
That's the way we're doing it, because I'm not doing a top 8. I would be here all night. Top 3 and a team to follow, please, Bailey.
My top 3, I've got Knightswood in there, same as Josh. I've got Glasgow United and Dalry as well. Okay. I think the Knightswood did really well last year. A couple of big players. I think I put Glasgow United in there dependent on a rumour. I've heard a rumour that Effie Ambrose is apparently going to.
I heard that. Somebody told me that as well. Really I wasn't going to say it, but thank God you said it, because now it's. I'm not the only one that's heard that, but I did hear.
Well, I've heard he's at a wee club. I heard he's training with a club in the Premier League. That's what I heard.
Is he?
Okay.
So time will tell.
If we could do this show again,
imagine a few years ago saying Effie Ambrose and David Temple, and we got a mention in the West of Scotland show. Like,
I know.
Really, it's wild, isn't it? Your team to follow, please, Bailey.
And my team to follow would be Ardeer.
Okay.
I think Ardeer obviously just missed out last year. They were always a tough team for us to play. Going down there, it's a hard pitch. And I think they've signed quite well. I think they've got the boy Kyle Crawford.
Yeah.
Who I think they've signed for Irvin Vicks, who's a good player. I think he'll put the ball in the net for them. So I think they'll be up there definitely.
Yeah, I did have Ardeer on my radar as well. I've went for Knightswood, Port Glasgow. I think I've got 110 goals Port Glasgow scored last season. Like, they have such enormous firepower, and 2 really well coached sides as well who can kick on. The third team I've went for are Dalry, because I do think as well, I think they had such a good side last season, just a wee bit inconsistent, but again they've kept a lot of their side for last year. And Chris is really optimistic that they can do really well. The team I've got to watch are Craigmark, like they were in absolute turmoil this time last season, and I think they've signed a few decent players, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go under the radar, because I don't think a lot of people have saw just how good their business has been this summer. So I would have Craig Mark on my radar for as well. But the likes of Ardea, we shout out to Dean McGirvin as well. I think they'll maybe get a few players in before the season starts. And I'm fascinated with Luger. I think that's an interesting development there. Stuart McDuffie in there as well. Max Durant obviously is the assistant. A bit of turmoil at Luger. Obviously, they went through a lot of managers, but Stuart McDuffie's an interesting appointment, Josh.
I'll be honest, I've lost track of who their manager was, because they went through a period there where
Chris Vance was there for a couple of weeks, and then he left. But Stuart McDuffie's definitely in there. I know that.
I think Bailey will probably back me up. And that's a right tough place to go to Luger. I know, especially during the winter period, it can be really tough, and you sometimes need to go right against your beliefs down there to try and get a result. So it can be really, really uncomfortable for you down there as well. So they could be one to watch, depending if they get off to a good start.
Yeah, absolutely.
I went down there last year and was stubborn, and then I forced the boys to go and play on that pitch, and I couldn't believe it. We were 3-0 up in about 25 minutes. And then we came out at half time, and then Luger came in top us, and they get it back to 3-2, and it was a nervy last 10 minutes. I think we just hung on, but
stuff about that. But Bailey, is you had it at Ross Vale as well when we went there. Like, you play a certain way more or less every week, with maybe wee tweaks here and there, but then all of a sudden you go to a Luger and you're like, can I do it here? Going to need to try something different. But it's so hard to take, because you work so hard at putting the habits into them, that now all of a sudden, a one-off occasion, you're saying you need to stop doing that. And I remember telling our boys the same. It actually went full circle. I told them they couldn't do it. And then I was watching them playing. I was like, these maniacs are still playing the same way they would at Hunters Hill. And you just can't take it out of them. And we ended up going 1-0 down, having to rescue a draw. Kev dug us out a whole again. But it's an interesting concept, that when that's what's so hard about the West, is you do need to change quite a lot sometimes. It needs to be sometimes wholesale changes like that, and it's tough. It's a hard one to do, and I don't think people recognise how hard that can be at times.
Right, final division. Let's get into the fourth division. We'll start with you, Bailey. Your top three and your team to follow, please.
My top three in the fourth. I've got West Park in there. I've got EKYM, and I've got Royal Albert.
Okay.
And then my team to watch, I've put Giffnock. I think West Park, I think they finished fourth last year. I think they just missed out. Couple of points off, but I think they'll do well this year. I think EKYM are a really interesting one. Coming into the setup. I haven't been over personally myself yet. One of the guys I speak to quite regularly, he was over a few weeks ago and rates them. So I think it's a good setup. So that's one that I'm going to try and get across quite soon and see how they go on. And when I was writing this down earlier, Royal Albert played Kilsyth yesterday. I was listening to the manager's interview, and he was raving about them and how they played, and I think they dominated the game. I think they played quite well. I think they conceded a couple of late goals to make the result a wee bit closer, but I've put them in, and then Giffnock, I believe, obviously moving into the new facility. I think there'll be a quite young squad, so you hope that maybe young players can go in and take that opportunity, and that energy, that enthusiasm, I think they could do well.
Brilliant. Josh, who you got for top three and want to follow, please?
To be fair, me and Bailey nearly had a full house there, by the way. Because I've got the same top three as Bailey, but my one to watch was different. So the Albert, West Park, EKYM. I knew EKYM were a good side anyway. We played them when they were an amateur team in a couple of friendlies, and they were good. Somebody I know actually was at the game when they played Johnston Borough, and I heard they done really, really well against Johnston Borough. Apparently should have been a few goals up. Played a good style of football. I heard that they were sort of potting it about a wee bit in the game. Signed well as well, signing me Adam Edgar as well, who's a right good player for that level. The Albert, I know Albert are going through quite a stylistic change as well. My assistant manager for last year, Johnny Purvis, has went to Royal Albert. And him, I think Connors and him are trying to change the style of play a wee bit at the Albert. So, and for all accounts, the boys are responding really, really well to it. And they've got good players in at the Albert as well. They signed a centre midfielder, I can't remember his name for the life of me. I want to say Sparky's name is, Faye Lanark, that was in Darrell's team, and right good player. I think he was their captain or something.
Matt McGinney.
Aye, that's him. You're better with names than me, but anyway, that's him. in
It's
West
just because
Park.
I've literally got it written down in front of me. That's the only reason I know that.
West Park for me are similar. Always gave us a right tough game last year, to be fair, and I think Mick and the guys do really, really well there. And I think they'll kick on. And my one to watch I was actually between Giffnock and Carluke, but I went for Carluke purely based on I think they've signed pretty well. Got Nicky Prentice for Kilsyth Rangers, got
Yeah.
Big Tony Kerr. There was another one for Kilsyth Rangers, I can't remember. Gary Stewart.
Yeah.
So they've signed pretty well, especially good boys for that level. And it can be, again, in Devon that I've had a few years at it now, so I think they'll be really pushing now to try and do well. So that would be my 4.
With you on EKYM, I think they are really going to come in and take it by storm. I think they've got a lot of good players as well, and I've spoke to their manager, spoke to a few people at the club, and some of the players they've got as well, their track record, they seem to be pretty good, well established for this. East Kilbride Thistle as well. I know there was a bit of turmoil with the manager situation, but I've seen the players they brought in, and I think they're going to kick on this season. And the other one I've got are Vela Leven, sorry. I think they could be pretty good. I think they're pretty solid as well. Well coached, some really good crop of players for last season. Don't think they've lost many from what I've seen, but I think they're more than equipped to go back up. Couple of teams that I think could do pretty well. Carluke were one of them as well. I wouldn't put anybody off BSC Glasgow. Now, do I think they're going to go for 16th to 8th in the space of a season? Probably not. But I know that they're going through a bit of a kind of different in terms of approach. I know Barry McGolgans took the job. He was at the under-20s last year. They're a team, obviously, you think of them, you think of kind of youth development. A lot of their team's going to be 20s boys. They had a really good 20s team a couple of years ago. I think BSC could do pretty well. I think the two East Kilbride sides and Vela Leven, but the likes of Royal Albert should get a mention. Eglinton, I'm interested to see what happens there. And I think Irvin Vicks as well, when you know how important it is having good goal scorers at this level. Kevin Adams still there. Do you know what I mean? Kevin Adams plays a full season. If he gets 25 goals, and Ben Carson's really good, obviously, kind of knows the level. I think they'll have a good season as well. But again, it's kind of tough to just narrow it down to 3. But I think we've done pretty well on that. Boys, before we wrap up the show, I'm just going to ask you just quickly, what are we kind of looking forward to this season? Like, I'll start with Bailey. Obviously, you're going to be a lot more games. You're going to see a lot of different teams. What are we looking forward to? Do we think, for anybody that's watching, maybe thinking, how do we get into the west of Scotland? Is it going to be competitive this year because of all the transition, or what are we looking forward to, do you think?
From a personal perspective, as you mentioned, I'm looking forward to seeing a number of games across the year. Something I've probably not obviously been able to do for a couple of seasons now. So I'm looking forward to getting about the place, taking in loads of different teams, speaking to some different managers, seeing how they do things. I think from a spectator point of view, I think it'll be really exciting. I think you'll see some teams who maybe, I'm not saying they didn't have ambition, but maybe were just outside that promotion area. I think now that you got that top 8 going up, I think teams will give it a good go to maybe get themselves up a division for the following year. So I think there'll be lots to play for. I think it'll be a really exciting season ahead of us.
Josh, why should people be interested in the West this season? What's going to be good about it?
Well, I think you've got the biggest promotion race in the world, didn't you? Let's be honest. There's not going to be many leagues where top 8 go up. But I'm more looking forward to a new challenge. Personally, for myself, a new challenge, visiting a full season in the Premier League as well, and seeing what that's like, and experience something new, and really looking forward to seeing how this young Pollock team got on, to be fair, as well. I'm quite excited about it, and where it's going to lead us and where it's going to take us. As Bailey and yourself know, there's going to be loads of trials and tribulations. There's going to be ups and downs, and I am looking forward to it. I think we all must be a wee bit unhinged that you want to be involved in it, to be honest with you. But hey ho, let's go on it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've thoroughly enjoyed both your guys' company tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Predictions as well. If you're holding us to it, we'll be back in May and we'll go through them and we'll see where we're at. To my guest tonight, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, Bailey Hanlon.
Thank you for having me, mate. Thank you.
And to Josh Gardner, absolute pleasure.
Perfect, mate. Enjoyed it again.
Brilliant. Thanks very much to everyone that's tuned in. We will be with you all week with a season preview of East Division from Monday to Friday. We'll be back next week with our first review of the season, so stay tuned for that. And as always, follow us for consistent West of Scotland content. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.